Have you ever wondered how, why, or even if you should take a personal patron in Asatru? Is that monotheism? Stick around, let's find out.
Welcome to the podcast. I'm Skogul, Gydia of the Northwoods Kindred.
And I'm Bodvarr, the chieftain and Gothi.
In days of yore, youth was born, the sturdy strength of the stock of gods. At the edge of the earth, Ed maids nine give birth and suckle to the brightest of the gods.
This bloat has ended. Thank you all.
Group hug!
All right, welcome back. I hope you had a good week. I know we did. Super excited to get back to this next episode and make sure that hopefully, we'll cross our fingers, we can get it to you by Friday and not Saturday morning like last week. But hey, things happen. So before we get too deep in the weeds about picking your patron, I want to talk a little bit about basically just burnout, because it's one thing that we see a lot on our Discord is people just tend to get kind of burned out on the whole idea of Asatru, or because we all know it's a religion with homework, right? Like There's a lot of study, there's a lot of things to do, and every time you feel like you just got that big win, you're like, oh, I learned something new. You share it with the community, and the community busts your chops over it, right? Like, oh, how did you not know that? Or, oh, that's all bullshit. Or that guy's an occultist. Or you just never really know when you find something that excites you. After a while, that tends to take a toll, right? Like, it kind of burns you out a little bit. I know it does.
Yeah, you totally get gun shy.
So it's definitely one of the topics we get asked the most is, what do I do if I'm feeling burned out, right? Like people ask it all the time. Some of them have only been on the path for a very short time, and I don't know that they're all getting completely burned out on the path, but it's starting to feel very monotonous and stale, and it's like, where's the new stuff at? And every time I come up with anything decent, somebody busts my balls over it, And I know you see it. You see the new people coming up on our Discord.
I do. I see it on our Discord. I see it on Facebook. I see it on TikTok. It's everywhere. People just, they're excited. They're right out of the gate, and then they just get kind of beat back. And then they're like, why am I doing this? Because people are mean.
Yeah. We're certainly, I don't know, I don't necessarily always call it a religion, but I would say that we're definitely a religion that eats its own.
Yeah, definitely.
We certainly serve up our young on a platter every single time someone comes in and they're not as knowledgeable as someone else. They try to use that as some kind of a mud check. And,
it's very sad. It's very sad. And, you have to kind of give kudos to our youth that stick with it and try again because, Yeah.
And we get some good ones on our Discord.
Yeah, we absolutely do.
We get some new guys that are coming around, or new gals that are coming around that they just don't know where to turn, or they find us real early and they're like, hey, I just had some questions, but this is the only place where I can ask them. Everybody else, raises hell whenever we come up with a new question.
Yeah, we do get a few people that come in and they ask a question and then they immediately apologize, or they immediately explain themselves. And It's like, our people are like, you don't have to do that here.
You don't have to explain yourself. Just ask a question. So, and also another thing that we see on the forum, and I don't want to turn this into a forum bash session, but I want to kind of just really go down the road and talk about the things that burn people out. And one of them that burns me out is just the harassment, the constant harassment. So I can imagine, and it bothers me, I can imagine how much it bothers somebody who's brand new. Maybe they just left some shitty little church, in Oklahoma or something, But even when they were going to their shitty little church, for the most part, people probably treated them pretty good, It's like, oh, hey, welcome back. Haven't seen you since last Sunday. Good to see you again. Not here, man. It's like, oh.
Yeah. And, the harassment that you get, I try to take care of it, and I try to, slip it under the rug so you don't see it. But it still comes through because there's a lot. There's a lot. Yeah, and it's not just heathens that are doing it. It's, you have your zealots and then you have just your straight up trolls and.
Yeah, those guys are pretty terrible. But they're not really anything because ultimately they can't really. You can't really take it as an insult if you don't value their opinion. The only way it's insulting is if you value the opinion of the person who's insulting you. If you don't, because they're just a nameless, faceless troll, what's the value?
Yes, but you have to get to that mental toughness to be able to do that. I think
you got to be able to stay there.
Yeah,
You can get beat out of that position pretty quick. So, that's a fact. So that happens a lot, and it also happens with those that are supposedly or in the role of the leadership of the clergy, the Gothi, the Bodvarr, the Gydias of the groups. We've seen multiple Gothis just turn in their shit. They're like, I'm done. I ain't doing this no more.
Yeah, there's that disappearing Gothi phenomenon.
I get that question all the time. People are like, hey, I had the Gothi, but he just poof disappeared, or he just pulled chucks and ran away, or he went back to prison, or one of the other, zillion other things that's a disappearing Gothi. Well, part of the reason that the disappearing Gothi is such a strong phenomenon is because people get burned out and they get sick of being told they're wrong all the time. And
well, not only that, I think that there's also burnout with a lack of appreciation from those that you give and give and give to, and then it's almost expected.
Well, we've had to even hear with some members here that have gone their own separate ways that aren't here anymore.
Yes,
was the take it for granted. So when everybody comes into it, especially when you come in new to a Kindred, everything's new and exciting, and it's like, oh, thank you for having me. And this is amazing, and this is so cool. I never felt this way before. But 6 months into it, and it's like, oh, hey, okay, when are we doing it? And they show up with barely anything and stick around for a moment, and and then they kind of lose. You can already tell when people are losing interest, right? Mm-hmm. Like I know I can, and then it's like, well, what are we doing this for? Why are we putting all this effort and time and money and and research into everything if everybody's losing interest? But now, don't get me wrong, like Northwoods Kindred is not losing interest. We've had a few members along the way that have gone their own separate ways, and you could see them appear in videos for a duration and then disappear. It just happens. It happens with all Kindreds, even here. No matter how good you screen, you just don't know. Some people stay on the path and some people don't. Right?
And we even have new people that are interested, and at first they come all gung-ho for it, and then life happens, and we know that, and so sometimes it might be a while, and then maybe something rekindles it and it works out again.
Right.
But I mean, you've always told us, the whole family, you never know what someone's going through.
Yeah, you really don't. Sometimes people lash out because they're going through something, and you look like an easy target, or maybe you just happen to hit a trigger point. That happens too. Yeah,
I really try to remember that when I'm feeling attacked or put aside. It's like I don't really know what they're going through.
Right.
So. Yeah,
it's an interesting phenomenon, I guess, and we've definitely experienced it here. Mm-hmm. But I think even for the Gothis, the real trick is to remember why you started doing it in the first place. Truthfully, in my opinion, and this is my opinion, you can't call yourself a Gothi if you don't have a Kindred. Like, what the hell good is a Gothi if he's just a lone Gothi sitting on his mountain by himself doing bloats or not? Mm-hmm. It's just, in order to be a Gothi, then somebody has to call you Gothi.
Right.
Like, and I know that's a hot topic. Everybody's like, I'm Gothi this or Gothi that. You ain't got no Kindred. You ain't got no group. You ain't got nothing. You're just wearing a title that doesn't really mean anything. It's almost childish. It's like saying you're a prince or princess or something.
Well, I mean, that would be like calling yourself a kinsman and you're a party of one.
Yeah, true. Yeah, I guess it would be that too. Yeah. And I'm not trying to down on anybody's UPGs. I'm just, in my personal opinion, because I'm the Gothi of the Kindred, but I'm only the Gothi of the Kindred because they elected me Gothi, and they continue to elect me Gothi every year, and I try like hell to give it away, but nobody wants the job. So,
I mean, Hakan
the last 2 elections, I've tried to give it away.
Yeah, Hakan has tried to do that. How many years? 20 plus years?
Yeah,
You never took that position for him.
Not a chance. Not going to happen. Never will.
I don't want that.
No. So that does happen too, but I think probably one of the best ways that I've found to help people that are kind of losing their way or getting disinterested is that I tend to point them back, and I talked about this on a live on TikTok a while back. I tend to just point them in the direction of whatever got them excited about it in the first place. Did I talk about that live, or was that just an answer? That's so hard for me to tell anymore.
Yeah, I don't know.
Whether
I don't
it
know.
live or
I'm
on
guessing
a video
these.
or
I'm guessing
on a
these
chat.
folks didn't hear it, so
Yeah.
you can go ahead and spin off
So if you heard
on
it,
that.
then whatever, I'll double tap. But I think that one of the best ways that when you start losing that interest or you start getting kind of burned out on the path, one of the best things you can do is remember what brought you here in the first place. And it doesn't matter if you're past it. It could be the Ragnarok, that Norwegian show, or it could be the Vikings, or it could be American Gods, or it could be a video game, or it could be a comic book. Even if those things are, wholly inaccurate, essentially they're just fiction. But if that's what got you excited and brought you here and got you learning and, starting to figure things out, then maybe go back and visit that. And if you visit it with that whole new set of eyes, with a whole new education, now you're familiar with the sagas and the Eddas, maybe you've read the Havamal a couple times, and then you can go back and you can watch these things and you can actually pull something useful out of it. But if nothing else, you just kind of reignite your fire and be like, yeah, I remember when it felt really good to watch the Vikings because I thought it was all real,
Mm-hmm.
So that's a really good way to kind of invigorate it. And another one is just find your passion in it. Like for me, my passion in Asatru really revolves around ritual. Like nothing feels as good as doing ritual. I love my books. I love discovery. I like talking to people. I like helping people. But there's nothing feels as good as knocking out a really nice ritual. Especially one that we haven't done in a while.
Mm-hmm.
So,
You're very good at designing rituals too.
well, I don't think that they're really a design. I think now it's more like it's more like a
Intuition?
yeah. It just kind of happens. There's not a lot of planning that goes into organizing it or designing it. It's just like, hey, let's just go out there and talk to the gods and see what happens. But it takes a lot. It takes confidence to get there. I get it. There's a lot of people that have been working for years to build the confidence to go out and do this sort of thing.
I mean, that's certainly what I'm working on, is just the confidence and the well of knowledge, and just really trying to put my focus into everything I do. Whereas, years ago it was mostly like I was mom, kid, maybe a little Asatru here, deity there, but now it's like I'm trying to do everything in my life with a purpose, with my faith.
Yeah.
If that makes any sense.
Yeah,
Probably
it makes
doesn't.
total sense. And I get it too. Like, yeah, you had other distractions, and now you're diving into it full, with both feet, and you kind of feel like you were left behind, or like you're trying to play catch up.
Yes, I'm definitely trying to play catch up.
Well, now here's the thing, though, is that they call it a path, and the thing about a path is you're always on the journey. You never get to the destination. There is no destination.
Yes.
The point is to continuously stay on the journey, and sometimes that journey is long, and sometimes you don't feel like you're quite equipped for it. That's the journey.
Yes. Yeah. I just want to be more well equipped, like when you're playing the video game and, you're like Halo and you pick up a med pack here and an extra, plasma grenade there. Like I want to be well equipped on the path, not, just barefoot running around,
Yeah, I mean, I get it, but what you know all your insecurities.
Yes.
Other people can't see that. So, and I do too. I know all my insecurities, and other people can't see that.
Yes.
So as long as I don't live there, if I live in where I am secure, I'm secure in ritual. I'm secure in lore. I'm secure in being able to take an archaic idea and apply it to the modern world in a way that we can use it. I just have a tendency to be able to do that.
See, I haven't found my security yet. Still looking.
Did you know that the Northwoods Kindred isn't just a podcast? We are a living, breathing kindred with all kinds of helpful stuff all over the web. Now, we've made it super easy and convenient for you to stalk us by putting everything that we have into one easy to find location. In the description below, we added our link tree, and that'll take you to everything that we have all over the net.
I hope that helps. Poor viki, my friends.
Some people are on the path for longer than others, and it takes some people a little while. And so I go into what I call the winters. I think personally that my journey, and I think probably when you hear it, you'll probably reflect back on some of that too, is that we go through seasons. And it seems like we always start at Yule, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like when you come on the path, everything's a brand new present. It's like exciting and new and different, and it's festive, and there's just like all this excitement that's not normally there, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So it's Yule. And then you start going into, maybe you go through a full cycle. And remember, these aren't like year-long cycles. You can go through one of these cycles in a week. You know what I mean?
Right.
So
yes.
You just got to think it's cyclic. And even though sometimes it takes longer or less time to make a complete revolution, it continually does the same thing. It's just cycles. Right. So we always start in this moment where whatever it was that brought us on the path, which is why I say revisit that if you want to get your head back under you, is starting to wind down, or it's starting to become a little bit more mundane. And then you start going into the winters, and the winters are those times when you just like really feel like giving up.
Mm-hmm.
It's no coincidence that the winter months, the deep winter months, is it's a high rate of suicide, it's a high rate of depression. Men's mental health is in November.
Well, so daylight is like almost non-existent. So
right, and vitamin D comes from sunlight. You don't get the vitamin D in your skin. It has all kinds of psychological effects and physical effects too, just from not having the sunlight on you. Those things wear on you. It's sort of metaphorically the same during your winters with Asatru. You feel that drain. You feel that lack of excitement, that lack of motivation, that isolation, that loneliness, that you're like the only one doing it, right? And you just feel like you want to give up. You just want to end it. Like, I'll just go on and do something else, or join a local church, or go be an atheist, or something like that, right?
yeah.
And then you find something else to get excited about, or a nice little new piece of information that sends you down a path you haven't been down before. Like maybe just discovered the runes. Ooh,
Mm-hmm. And see, I feel like I'm just coming out of a winter, and like everything is like exciting, and like I have all this passion, and it's like, where's all this time? I need all this time because I wanna read this, and I wanna look here, and I wanna research that, but then I wanna edit, and I have all these things I wanna do, and it's like I need more time in the day. So.
I know that one very well,
Yeah.
especially when your winter was a long one, like a 2-year or a 3-year winter.
Mm-hmm.
Because I've had those too. Like work gets heavy, bills, kids, taxes, moving, changing jobs or changing stuff. You got personal trials and triumphs in your life, and all that stuff kind of forces itself to the front and center.
Yeah.
And then it doesn't leave a lot of time for study. You tend to lose track, forget to put your hammer on in the morning. Next thing you know, it's been 2 years.
I've never actually forgot to put my hammer on in the morning. I mean, I've personally not put it on just because it's like, I'm going to take a shower and I have to take it off, so I just leave it there. But
you keying in on the wrong part of that statement. But
that's what I do.
My point is, metaphorically,
yes, I understand
one morning
what you mean.
wake up and you don't do that stuff anymore.
I understand
And you just
what
let time go by. And then you're like, oh, well, time has been so long. Now Odin's going to be mad at me because I haven't read anything or done anything in a year and a half. Odin doesn't care.
He doesn't care.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not saying he doesn't care about you. I don't know if he does or not. I don't really speak for him. He's never given me the authority to speak for him. But he doesn't care if you're honoring him or not at this point. I think they're just happy. The gods, I think they're just happy to be awakened.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you really consider like the life cycle of a god, since Asatru or Norse paganism's come back to America and even around the world, they haven't been awake that very long.
Yeah,
40, 50 years, and they're just starting to come into power again. So I wouldn't be too concerned about living through a natural cycle such as those winters, and then feeling like the gods are going to be mad at you, so you better just walk away. I just don't see any truth in that, right?
Mm-hmm. So basically, Asatru Burnout, like, just let it ride. Like, you're going to come out of it.
If you stick with it, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you could easily walk away. It's easier to walk away when things are rough than it is to walk away when things are doing really well.
Yeah, but sometimes it only takes that one little thing to keep you there.
Right, yeah. One little exciting moment, or,
Mm-hmm.
You know, like maybe we did that for people at Pagan Fest when they came out and they'd been thinking about walking away, and then they got to stand and bloat.
Yeah, I'm sure we did.
They got to stand and bloat and be like, I'm not walking away from this. I need to learn how to do that.
And I think our Discord tribe has done that many, many times that none of us are even aware of.
Yeah, I'm sure of that. I'm sure that people have come on our Discord.
It's like one last ditch effort.
Yeah, one last hoorah before they just give it up and go their own separate way. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think so. Probably. But
I would like to think so.
I mean, I've been there burned out and ready to just walk away. And I've set the books down and set everything down. Probably even since we started this channel, I've gone some periods of time without any interaction, off the Discord, off
You've
the
gone
socials.
dark.
Yeah, just go dark for a little while and just kind of collect myself. I've done that, and I'll continue to do that, and I won't apologize for it. It's part of the cycle. It's part of the thing, you know. But one of the things that helps bring me out is I get a lot of messages. So on top of all the troll stuff that I tend to over focus on, I really do.
I know you do. I try to pull you out of it.
But on top of all that, there's a lot of really good comments we get with people like on Facebook or YouTube or TikTok or on
Instagram. We always forget about Instagram.
I don't even know how to check messages on Instagram. I only see them when they like pop up on my phone and I can go read it, but I don't know how to actually go look at them.
I have to show you because we have a message waiting for you.
Don't message me on Instagram. It's a long time before I figure out how to read them. Notice how I'm leaning in to make it serious. If you're not watching the video version, I'm leaning into my microphone. Trying to make the point. Don't message me on Instagram. I probably won't answer you. So I don't know how. I don't like Instagram.
So all the good comments and the good messages and the things that keep the needle moving forward and keep you on a good path.
And so one of our friends who I had helped a little bit actually sent me a letter. And it's great because it's one of those things like just coming home from a crappy day at work and reach in the mailbox and pull out this thing and read it. And I'm like, wow, let's go shoot a podcast or something. You know what I mean? It just kind of invigorates you. So I'm going to read a portion of the letter. I'm not going to give up the name. He knows who he is. And now you already know that he's at least a dude. So I got to skim it real quick and make sure that I don't say anything. So for one, letters are really nice because I know that in the modern generation, we probably have a lot of people, even listening to this podcast, that have never written or received a letter that wasn't junk mail.
Yeah.
You know? But we grew up with letters. That's how we communicated. She has volumes and volumes of letters from all of my deployments. There was a time when I was deploying overseas and didn't even have email. It didn't exist yet. And it probably existed for like the head shed, but we didn't have it.
Yeah, not for us. So it didn't matter.
Yeah. It was in its infancy anyway, you know. But so anyway, so he sent a letter, and this is beautiful because I can keep this and I can put this in my binder and I can write back, and we have a little pen pal thing going on, and that's pretty awesome. Before this, I rarely get a paper letter. I've gotten a couple. Hawken sends me paper letters all the time. So anyway, without further ado, I'm going to read this one because you can understand how this could bring you out of a dark spot, right?
Okay.
If you're feeling pretty wintry. Gothi Bodvarr. I have wanted to write you and Gydia Skogul for quite some time, but haven't been able to for one reason or another until now. Simply put, all I wanted to say is thank you. Thank you for all of the wonderful and informative videos, all of which have helped me in my spiritual journey. You two make content that feels way more personal and passionate than many other Asatru creators, and that has really helped in my learning. That and your incredibly kind Discord channel. Similarly, the many Discord channels surrounding pagan and heathen topics I have joined all end up bullying those uninformed or those who think differently, or even if you ask the wrong question. This is not something I see in your Discord, quite the opposite actually. And having an active digital community I can speak with about questions I have has been indispensable for my growth in this path. While I do live XYZ, I hope to meet the Northwoods Kindred whenever that may be, or I can never thank you enough for how you have helped me, þórr viki. So, like I said, I'm not going to give up his name or his space, but because I didn't get his permission to read that. So we'll just
That's
keep
so
that.
awesome.
Yeah, but that's awesome to get something like that, because
It tears me up just a little bit, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, it's such a lost art, and it's just so beautiful and time-consuming.
Yeah, and it's not
It's
an
very
email.
special.
And emails are great. I get them all the time, and I love them, but I don't print them, and I don't keep them.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
But something like that, you know, it's something you can hang on to. I think that the art of just expressing yourself verbally through a letter is just almost lost. It's almost gone. Yeah. And I didn't pay attention, but I wanted to see if he wrote in cursive.
Oh, did he?
No, he didn't write in cursive. I do. When I write letters, I write in cursive.
Yeah, me too.
Try and do a little bit of script and get that old style down. But anyway, that was kind of a derail. It's still pretty awesome. But I wanted, if he's watching this, which I'm sure he will, I just want to say thanks. It did mean a lot. Brought us right out of a maybe not a dark place, but definitely there's moments when you wonder, like, why are we doing this? You know, why are we subjecting ourselves to all this, you know, torment and occasionally humiliation, you know, to help other people. And then you get a letter like that, and it's like, that's why, you know, that's worth it. We can take it. We're strong enough. We got strong backs, so we can carry it. But yeah, fun times. If you want to cheer us up, write us a letter. You know, write us a letter. That'd be really cool. Or put a sticker in there. I love stickers. I put them all over everything.
You do love stickers.
Write us a letter. Put a sticker in there. You'll make our day for sure. And you can write us at P.O. Box 1666. Yeah, that's right, 1666, Priest River, Idaho. And then you can just Google the because you won't be able to remember that. Nobody will remember that. P.O. Box 1666, Priest River, Idaho. That'll get you there, right? Mm-hmm. The zip code and stuff, you can find that on Google. But it's 83856, just in case you needed it. If you can remember it, but most people won't.
Maybe they'll just pause it.
Could be, yeah. Get your pen and paper. P.O. Box 1666, Priest River, Idaho, 83856. Shoot us a little letter. I'll write you back when I can.
Yeah.
That'll be fun. Sitting down and writing letters again.
You know, it's interesting because that letter actually came quite a while ago.
Yes. So we don't check the post office very often.
But, I mean, maybe that was the universe's way of waiting until you needed to have that letter.
That's true. That is a little interesting way to think about it, huh?
Mm-hmm. That's how I think of everything, is like, there's a reason for that, I think. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Cool. Maybe I should add the post office to my loop on my trip home from work every day. Swing in there and check the mail real quick.
Or at least once a week.
I
mean, you drive literally right past it.
I do, literally. Okay, so anyway, write me. I'll write you back. Just give me some time because I may not check the mailbox very often. But it'd be a lot of fun anyway. Anyway, we're talking about getting back on the path or getting our fire back under us. And one of those things is to go back and retrace your steps, basically. Look at the things that brought you here and the things that brought you joy when you got here before somebody had a chance to piss on your fire, because that does happen. Mm-hmm. So, and I hate, I sound real negative, like I got a real negative opinion of a lot of the people that are in Asatru, and I do.
Well, I think a lot of the people that are doing that aren't necessarily Asatru or following the path. They're doing it just straight for just to be mean.
Some of them, yeah, but some of them are the Brosatru, and they're really, what they're doing is they're hiding their own ignorance and incompetence.
Yes.
By picking up on one little wrong thing that somebody who's trying to learn is saying. Like, I don't understand how learning is treated with such disdain on this path. People come in and they're like, hey, check it out, I got a new Vegvisor tattoo. And everybody's like, oh, you're such a poser. You're such a Brosatru with your Vegvisor. That's a Christian symbol. That's not even a real... And it's like, I mean, the only question I would ask is like, what does it mean to you?
Yeah, I mean, it even, it's even got to me. I joined a bunch of groups, and I would just show some of our stuff, or I'd show, a picture or something and I would talk about something and I would get hate, and it's like, well, this isn't worth it, so I'm bailing because I have my own places that are
You get
safe.
hate from just like showing a really cool picture of us in costume or something, or for dressing for
or
ritual,
certain ritual tools, or there's just hate. It's just hate.
There's a lot of hate,
and it's like I don't need this. I don't deserve this, and I got my own thing over here if anybody wants to follow.
Yeah, right? Yeah. Oh, you just frag them on your way out the door. By the way, we got a Discord. Run out the door. Yeah, but you're right though. Like I don't get on any other Facebook groups other than ours.
Yes. But you know, we are, to the whole outside online community, we're kind of new at this. Yes, we've had Facebook and we've had Instagram and we've had YouTubes for many, many years.
That's right. We came on the scene late.
Yes, but all the other times that we've been out on social media, like, we had complete control. It didn't, like, there were no trolls coming in because it was just like instant ban, which is the same way now.
Yeah.
But we had more control over that, where this one we're trying to scoop up those members of the community that's looking for, looking for us.
Yeah, I remember when we first came out and we first started the YouTube channel, because I guess the YouTube channel was our first like foray into public Asatru, right?
Yes.
I mean, obviously, that was only a couple of years ago. We've been on the path for over 30 years, but as far as public Asatru, of course, we went to bigger gatherings and met up with people in person in real life. But as far as this internet thing goes, we're relatively new to the scene. You know, I mean, Ocean Kaltoy was already here doing it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Jacob Todson was already here doing it. Arthurger was already here doing it. There were so many people that were already here doing it, building a following, and then here we come kicking down the door without doing everything different. You know?
Yeah.
Like everything's different. Like our rituals happen in the daylight. They happen in the daylight, so we can see each other and see what's going on.
And we were all about like, look how we do this.
Yeah.
But no, like the social media that I'm talking about is like, when we did all the knife making and we did all of the leather work, and we went to other channels and stuff, like there wasn't a lot of hate there because there wasn't anything to prove.
There was a little bit when I was doing Survivology 101.
Yes.
There was a little bit in the survival community.
Well, that's a cutthroat community.
It is pretty cutthroat, yeah.
Yeah.
Ultimately, it's why I left the community.
Mm-hmm.
And it really kind of echoes the same thing. So if you kind of compare the communities here, you have people that have been doing this for a long time. They're well read, they're studied. They may do it differently. Like there's a million ways to light a fire, right? Like in the survival community. But if you do things a little bit differently, or you do things the way that some bigwig said is wrong, now you get ridicule from his little army of minions. That happens a lot in the survival community, even to the point where I would come up with some cool new technique, and since my channel was small, other people would take that technique and do it, and then their minions would come harass me for stealing their idea. And it's like, I'm done. Dude, I'm an international seer instructor. Like, that guy barely graduated boot camp. What are you talking about? So, you know what I mean? So I just kind of got fed up with the whole community. But you do see that sort of thing echoed here, too.
Yes.
Where you got people like friends of ours that have been on the path forever and have read all these books and done all these things, and they still get harassed by people who've been here for 6 months. And I ain't saying that somebody who's been here 6 months doesn't have anything valuable to offer, because they certainly do. And in fact, in a lot of cases, they have a lot to offer in the way of new opinions. You know, there's a lot of things that people have asked me or told me that have changed my perspective on things, and that's very valuable. But to come in here and kick down the door and start bossing around people who have lived this life longer than some of these people have been, alive, doesn't really do much for the community. It just creates that same sort of that stirred up animosity, and it's like, if you don't do it my way, you're not the same,
Yeah. I will, I do want to mention here that, like, we have our own minions. And we have them on Discord, and we have them on Facebook, and we have them on TikTok. And
they're like so super respectful, though.
Yeah,
they're like not trolly at all.
No, that's the thing. It's like we have our minions, but they know that we do not tolerate slander. And so when somebody starts something, it's like, you don't have to do that here, or you're welcome here. You don't have to prove anything. We get that a lot on our veteran channel. It's like, well, do you need to see any proof? And it's like, your word.
Yeah, your word. You know, well, if you're not a veteran and you get into the veteran channel, we're gonna figure it out. It's
Yeah.
gonna be pretty obvious.
Yeah.
You know, you either speak the language or you don't speak the language. You know, and, yeah. But
I'm just saying we have our minions too, and but they're not mean little minions. They're happy little.
well, when I
Minions
use
in the
minion
background.
as a negative term, so I would never call our people our tribe.
No, but they come in and it's like
Right.
tribesmen, welcome.
Yeah, that's one thing, but yeah, I don't know. I don't want to read.
I'm just saying we have.
There's no way I can go down that road without starting to insult people, so I don't want to do
I'm just
it.
saying we have people that will absolutely back us in comments,
For sure.
and you know, they fully support us, and they talk to others that might be a little bit more aggressive, and then they realize they don't have to be aggressive.
Right.
Our tribesmen have turned a lot of people from aggression into like, wow, this is great. Like,
Yeah,
thank
well,
you.
that's something I think that's kind of a novelty that we have to deal with, is that some of these people, they've been into and they've been raked over the coals in so many of these groups that when they come in our Discord, they just come in swinging. They
Yeah.
know, they know it's only going to last 3 days anyway, so just come in here, you know. And then it's like, whoa, dude, pump the brakes. What's your question? You know, you don't have to swing so hard. You know, and
And everybody's like hugging. It's like this.
it's like it's cool, we got you. Just, you know, take a breath. But yeah, I think that's kind of cool with our community. But
Not that our minions wouldn't like boot you right out.
oh yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
people,
they
people
totally.
slide in and drop a link to a OnlyFans in one of our groups, and they're poof, banned, gone. And it, you know, it just recently happened. Like the thing started going ding, 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 and we know what that is. We're getting raided. Somebody's coming in and dropping dropping links, and so we both grabbed our phones real quick and went in to see what was going on. And by the time we got there, it was already cleared up. That person was banned. All their posts were removed. Everything was good. A message was sent out to the tribesmen to say, "Hey, if you got a bunch of things, it was this," and they handled everything. And we were actively hearing it go on. But our mods were on top of it before we could even get there. So, So kudo to you, Garvord and Lake Near. And I think Hootie had something to do with it too. I think Hootie.
Yeah.
brought
He
some
was
attention.
sounding the alarm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we got good tribesmen for sure. What? Where the hell were we? What were we
We're supposed to be talking about patrons, like who, what, why, where, how do you get them, what do you have them for?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we were still talking about how to come back.
Do they pick
To
you?
the
You
path,
pick
yeah.
them?
Yeah. We didn't get into any of that yet.
Mm-mm.
No,
All
we were
right,
talking
never mind.
about.
Caca.
We're talking about coming back to the path if you've been kind of, you know, off in the desert, wandering the desert for a little while, you know, for 40 days and 40 nights or whatever.
Wrong sagas. Wrong myths.
All right. Wrong myth. Right? No shit. So,
But- But you know, like even our children are like that. You know, sometimes they have questions, and sometimes they're like, "Well, let's see if this path over here is any better." And it's like, "Nope, didn't like that."
Oh, yeah. They're welcome to go try and check things
Yeah.
out and go meet people and go to church if they want.
And that doesn't mean that you're dishonoring, you know, the gods or you're pissing them off.
I think it honors them. I think experimentation is the reason that they gave us the ability to think. You know, if they didn't want us to think, they wouldn't have gave us brains to think with. They would have made us like ants or bees. We would have been in a colony. We would have done exactly what our duty was without complaint until we died. If that's what the gods wanted, that's what they would have made us. They would have made us just like every other creature that's on autopilot. They didn't. They made us something different. So I feel like everything that's in me, I'm allowed to use. You know, I can use my passion, I can use my anger, I can use my fear, I can use my love, I can use my hate. I can use it all because they gave it to me to use. Right?
Okay, that's a really nice way to think about it.
They gave it to me to use. Those are my tools. That's all I got. You know?
I never actually looked at them as tools.
Yeah, they didn't give us any supernatural abilities. It's not like I can just move shit. You know, some people might be able to, but I can't do it. All I can do is get upset about stuff and break it, right? Or be happy about stuff and cherish it. That's Those are the tools of my trade, I guess. I don't know.
That makes kind of sense, yeah.
Yeah. So I guess that's a good lead into getting your patron is like, what is your personality? You know, what are you apt to do? You know, You know, where do you spend your time? What do you think about? You know, what's your job? What's your motivation? What's your livelihood? What are the things that make you who you are? Because most likely that's going to reflect in your patron. So some people ain't going to like that. So a good example, which I've mentioned maybe here or other places before, is that when I first came to Asatru, I took Tyr as my patron. Now, I don't believe the gods find you. I don't believe you're just outside smoking a cigarette one day and a crow flies by and you're like, oh, Odin chose me. Odin does not reach down into Christianity and pluck out one little tiny gold nugget that he finds useful and say, you're going to be my messenger to the people, or you're going to do this thing. He doesn't do that. I don't think that the gods pull people out of Christianity and say, we're here to rescue you. I don't think they give a shit. Not like that.
Mm-mm.
I think that you find the path, you put in the work, you show that you're worthy of their patronage, and then you emulate and aspire to be like the gods or a particular god in the case of a patron. So in my case, my patron was Tyr. He stood for everything that a good soldier or marine would stand for, right? Defense of his people, bravery. He'll stand up when everybody else takes a step back. Risking life and limb for the safety and security of those of his tribe or those that he loves. Honesty above all else. That's a Tyr trait, And people might see Tyr as something different. I know that I see Odin different than a lot of people do, because it seems like Odin's been getting a bad rap lately.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I think it's just a cultural phenomenon.
Well, I think even Tyr gets a little bit of a bad rap too, because a lot of people say he was like leading Fenris along, and he was.
Oh, he betrayed a friend.
Yeah, he betrayed a friend, and it's like he had he was loyal to the gods.
Well, so this might be a way to segue into what I'm considering a god here. So for me, I'll consider God as any intelligent creature in the Norse pantheons that has the intelligence that echoes sort of a human intelligence. That's the way to do it, They have mood swings, they have highs and lows, they might have good traits and bad traits, but they echo essentially a human intelligence. That's kind of how I look at it. So if they got that, I don't care if they're an Aesir, a Vanir, a god, a giant, it doesn't matter. But other characters, such as Sleipnir is a horse.
Yeah.
I don't look at him as a god. He's not worthy of worship. He's a minor character that plays a particular role to move the story forward. Sleipnir, Fenrir, Jormungandr, even Hel kind of in some ways. I mean, I know she has a human-esque intelligence, but she doesn't have a lot of presence in the lore anyway.
Mm-hmm.
But you can say the same thing of like Vali and various other gods that have very low mention. So I guess you would have to really consider her as a goddess as well. But her brothers and Jormungandr and Fenrir, I certainly wouldn't consider them as gods, nor Sleipnir, nor Thor's goats, nor random eagle here or random squirrel there, Ratatosk, and I don't consider those things as gods. They're obviously supernatural creatures, right? But do they have the power of creation, or are they just supernatural, living out the just the natural spirit of the animal? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like a supernatural bear is still going to rip your head off. It's just a bear. It doesn't think.
So, that brings me into the modern world, right? If you're looking at us humans, like you're looking at the gods, and you have the human species, and then you have dolphins, and you have chimpanzees, and you have parrots, and these highly, highly intelligent animals, but they're all still just animals.
Right.
They don't do anything beyond maybe a few words or commands or anything like that. So that kind of ties.
Well, they say that dolphins are as intelligent as humans, so you got to kind of wonder, in dolphin land, are we just like some weird bipedal creature that lives on the other side of the world that they can't get to,
But I mean, dolphins are still doing what dolphins do
but
hundreds and hundreds of years later.
So
right?
are we. So are we. We're doing the same thing we used to do. We've just developed technology.
Yes. And yes, they've developed, certain special features and stuff, but they're still.
I'm not totally convinced that they're not here I am kind of arguing a counterpoint to myself. But
Okay, go ahead.
I'm not totally convinced that they're not just collectively tapped into one constant memory. So that,
like crows and ravens?
so I'll talk about crows and ravens in a minute, but like the dolphins, I think like their species, you know, sometimes they gather all together at one place at one time. You know, some sea creatures do that. They just randomly, we don't know where they come from all over the place, and they gather at this one place for no reason. And they try to say, oh, it's magnetic resonance or something. They don't know anything. They're just guessing all that shit. But like, I know that studies were done with like a crow, and some dude put on an old man mask and harassed the crows a little bit. Did that kind of repeatedly until they started to like avoid them or hate them or attack them possibly. You know, I'm not real familiar with the whole study, but I know that the guy bailed as part of the study, and they waited till like 2 or 3 generations of crow were now emerged, and they would come back in with that dude with the mask, and the next generation, without having ever been present with the parent in that guy's presence. So it wasn't a learned behavior. It was a known behavior that they knew that guy was a threat. Somehow it got passed down. So it really makes you wonder, is like for every one of those creatures, is there a fine thread that connects them to the cultural memory of their type? So as one gets smarter, they all get smarter, you know? So I wonder if maybe that's not the way that humans might have been for millennia until we developed technologies, you know? Now I can pick up my phone. This isn't my phone, but I can pick up my phone and I can call and talk to anybody in the world. Who's to say that 4,000 or 5,000 years ago I couldn't just do that? I couldn't just sit down and just have a conversation with someone 1,000 or 2,000 miles away instantly in my own head. We don't know that.
And maybe not just technology has held us back from that, but maybe all the things that we do as a human species that hold us back. All the things that stop our brains from, you know, growing and getting the nutrients and things it needs. All those bad habits that we take on as humans.
Yeah, all the instant gratification.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, the internet certainly doesn't help with that, does it?
Nope. Caca.
Caca.
I don't know. I just love cacawing.
So the internet certainly doesn't help with instant gratification. It definitely gives you that in a lot of cases, you know. But yeah, we're certainly not progressing as a species. Yeah, our technology's progressing.
And didn't you tell me that out of everything on Earth, the things that are most biologically close to humans is mushrooms?
Well, no.
Was I wrong on that?
Yeah, to mammals. Mushrooms are...
Oh, to mammals.
The mushroom is closer to a mammal than it is to a vegetable.
Got it. Okay.
It's closer to a squirrel than it is to a leafy green, as far as its whole makeup and everything. I don't know if there's any truth in that. I'm not a mycologist, but it is interesting to think about. Who said that? I think that was something that I don't know. That scientist guy. Who's that black scientist guy who does a lot of space stuff? I think he said it. What's his name?
Peter?
Peter who, Griffin?
I don't know. You said Peter earlier in this. Name that came to mind. No. Sorry, babes.
It'll come to me later on, but I think he's the one that said that. And he's not a mycologist either. He's just a scientist.
So we did get kind of a little far off on the topic, but I mean, you're right. Like Sleipnir and Fenrir and Jormungandr, those are all...
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So I was going back and I was explaining just kind of what classifies as a, worthy of worship from me. Mm-hmm. Of course we're animists. We're not going to take that away. So everything is worthy of respect, right? We respect our animals. We respect our land. We respect the rocks and the trees, because they're all animate. They're all made of energy, just like us. But there's a certain level of intelligence that it also has to be a different level of veneration. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like, it's okay to honor the rock by not messing with it or painting on it or doing anything like that. Hitting it with
a sledgehammer.
Yeah. But I don't know if I would pour out a sacrifice to the rock,
Yeah.
So, because it doesn't feel like it would be able to even understand what that is, or benefit you from it. The whole idea behind a sacrifice is a gift for a gift. It's an equal exchange. Hopefully, if things work out right and the sacrifice is good and the gods are paying attention. But what do you get from a rock? So
Yeah.
you just give it respect and let it live its life, essentially, you know. But also, then you start getting into some of the more Scandinavian traditions, and you're not honoring the rock. You're honoring the spirit that lives there, the Totterman or the, you know, or the Nisa or whatever is living in that, that's occupying that space. So it's a long road to go down, and there's a lot of things. But if we're talking strictly about the lore, gods, you know, favorite gods, basically, right? Patron gods. So we took Heimdall as the patron of the Kindred because Heimdall is the teacher. And if you read the lore, then you know Heimdall and Rig are the same. And Rig fathered the classes of man, and he taught how to do things like work with their hands and start fire and weave clothing. He taught all these skills of technology, which is why we took him as our teacher, so we can essentially pass on his teachings to our fellow man and show how we honor the gods, right? But it's kind of hard to show how you honor the gods if you don't explain what the gods are. And
Yes.
so to me, it's the humanoid intelligence of it. So is Loki a god? Absolutely. He's also a giant, right? Is Balder a god? Even though there's very little said about him other than his death, which is pretty, maybe a topic for another conversation, but, you know, because there's a lot of lessons in that. But yeah, he's a god.
Right.
Is Sif a god? Sure, of course.
Yeah.
A goddess, you know. But is Brock? Maybe. Would you think of Brock? I mean, he's definitely worthy of veneration if you're a smith and you're doing a craft or you're doing something and you need some help from somebody who is supernatural and has abilities in that arena as a craftsman, you know, as a dwarf. Sure, I would probably classify that. I would say that he's worthy of veneration, and
Okay.
depending on the circumstance. But Granny or Goldtrop, they're just horses, man. You don't venerate a horse. You know, you honor them, you take care of them. You know.
Yeah.
But just like, I mean, I got my dog, so I guess it's a really good example. My dog, Bjorn. I love Bjorn more than most humans.
Yes.
But I wouldn't take a single human life to save my dog.
No.
I don't think so. I just don't think so. It's got more value than that, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, it'd break my heart. Well, I won't say a single. I would. But that's not the point. So there definitely are. There definitely are some people that I value my dog higher than. But it would require thought. I would have to make a conscious decision. It's not a no-brainer. It's not a no-brainer like my daughter. No-brainer. There's not a person alive that would get to harm her and not be mowed over, right? But with my dog, I'd at least have to think about it.
Yeah.
You know?
Okay.
Because it's not at that same level.
No.
You know? And because he's not human. Just like with the gods. So if I'm going to venerate a god, I'm going to venerate a god that I want to be like. You know? And then, you know, don't hate on me because, you know, we're about love and light here. We're not about hate. But I would never venerate Loki.
Right.
Because Loki, however you see him, you could see him as the, you know, the Norse version of the devil, right? Or you could see him as just a trickster who's just trying to move the needle forward. But everything I see with Loki is not how I want to treat my people. It's not how I want to treat my family, you know, because what ultimately came of his family, right? It's not how I want to treat my friends, because what ultimately came of all of his friends. He betrayed them and they turned their back on him. Doesn't matter who's right. He's alone, right? So if you were to venerate that, you're either alone or you're on your way there, right? Because what he shows is pain and torture and anguish and deceit and betrayal.
And maybe you just touched on right there why people do venerate him is because they are so alone.
Because they're stuck in that space.
Well, they're stuck in that space, and then they try to go here, and they get hate, and they get pushed back, and they get beat down.
Absolutely.
And so
I don't have any hate for them. None at all. For the people who venerate Loki. I don't have any hate for them at all. I hope that one day that they don't have to feel that loneliness and that despair where they feel like Loki is their only friend, because Loki is no one's friend. He's no one's friend, you know?
Yeah.
But what it does to me is it shows that there's a lot of pain in that, in the veneration of that, because you're not venerating Loki, you're venerating what Loki is and what he stands for. Just like Odin, you can venerate Odin and you're venerating a lot of bad along with the good, right?
Yes.
But I think you probably say the same with pretty much anything, with any of the gods. There's bad in there and there's good in there, but we can identify with that, I think. Right? There's good and bad in everybody. Like, you may not be telling people your dark secrets, but you definitely got them, right?
You definitely got them.
So you're probably going to want to align with whatever god or goddess you feel like you can connect with at that level. And if your whole life has been pain and struggle and torture and loneliness and despair, of course you're going to connect with Hel and Loki,
Yeah.
But then it kind of begs the question, like, do you take as a patron, because again, he ain't choosing you, I'm sorry. Well, I mean, if that's your UPG, that's your UPG, but the evidence doesn't support that. That they're not choosing you, that we're choosing them, and we're choosing them based on, I prefer to try to really look into it and choose them based on where I want to be, not where I am, right? So I want to venerate based on what I want to be, not on the things that I don't like about where I'm at, right?
Yes.
Because I find that argument a lot with some of the Lokians is that they identify with Loki because they're in a shit situation and everybody's turned their back on them. They left them alone, and all they wanted to do was, I don't know, maybe they had a joke that was taken out of context, or maybe they're, I don't know. There's something that connects those two together with where they're at, not where they want to be. Does that make sense? So I think we have a tendency to just fall to comfort, and comfort is where I'm at. I'm here, I'm comfortable. Nobody wants to change, really. People don't naturally want to change. Our brains, our bodies, we resist change.
I certainly do.
We get into habits, we get into routines, and we resist breaking those habits and routines. And the resistance of moving into a better situation, a better life, is by venerating what represents the life that you've already despised, or the one that you're stuck in, whether you like it or not, So I chose Tyr because as a warrior at the time, as an active duty Marine and going back and forth to combat, I wanted to demonstrate those sort of, I wanted to be the guy who would stand up and never turn from the fight and always be there and always, be honorable and truthful, and the things that the powers or the ideas that I hung on Tyr are what I wanted to be. It's what I strove for. It's like, what would Tyr do? In this situation, if Tyr was here, what would he do? Well, he would take the hill.
Yeah.
So it's always nice to kind of have that motivational mindset. If I was to pick a god or a goddess to venerate that is just as me, self-conscious, worried about tomorrow, worried about the next thing I say, that kind of stuff, then you're never going to progress. You're never going to push past that. You're essentially just locking yourself into a cycle that you can't break free of if you don't set your sights on something bigger and better, So who are your patrons? Well, let's start with your male patrons. I'm already talking about Tyr.
Well, my male patron has always been Thor.
Do you think it's necessary to have a patron?
It is necessary to me to have a patron.
That's a good answer.
Yeah. It's someone that I can just speak to and call on and just unload on just out of the blue. Like, it's almost like my imaginary friend just right behind me that I can talk to anytime I want to. And there's no judgment, and there's no telling me what to do, or you should have did this, or you shouldn't do that.
Right.
It's just, there's just someone there listening. So mine has always been Thor.
No, that's cool. Yeah.
And,
And now, is it Thor just because he's like this strong masculine presence?
No, it's been because he's always been full of laughter, and I've always really loved laughter in my life. And I mean, he's the god of man. He's the god of families, and there was always like that big brother feeling, that protector, of course, but just this very good humor, joyous guy I could talk to.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's cool, and that's it's kind of the same thing with Heimdall. We honor Heimdall here with a couple of bloats a year, at least. But
At least.
but I'll tell you what, even though Tyr has been my patron, my personal patron, since I first started, I didn't know you needed to take a patron. It just seemed like coming out of a monotheistic path, it was comfortable to pick a god to
Yes.
put some effort into. But I've rarely ever bloated or did offerings or anything with Tyr. I talk to Tyr often. I meditate. I have conversations with Tyr in my head as I'm meditating, and I understand that's just a part of me that's holding that conversation. I don't think that anytime I have a thought in my head that it's Tyr telling me what to do. Like,
Yeah, Thor's never told me what to do.
no, it's just you talk to the idea of Thor.
Yes.
And
Yes.
I would talk to and ask for advice from the idea of Tyr. And it's funny because I've seen a short video from what's his name? I got his book right there, Jordan Peterson. I'm friend of the show. So both of them actually. So I seen this video with Jordan Peterson, and he was talking about if you want to just progress. You want to just progress in your life. One thing you can do is before you lay down and go to bed, is you just ask yourself, "Hey, show me the one thing that I can change, that'll improve my life, that'll move the needle for me." And he says, you go to bed and you do that a couple of times, you're going to dream, or you're going to wake up, or you're going to get the answer that you're looking for, and you're going to know it. You're going to know exactly the thing that you can change, whether it's stop drinking, quit whatever your bad habits are, do these other little things. Like it's going to come to you in your sleep or in your waking hours. It's just going to happen because you asked yourself, what is wrong? What can I fix? How can I move the needle? That is the kind of thing that I would attribute to having these conversations with the gods. It's like I can ask Tyr, like, what can I do to be a better warrior? What can I do to be stronger, a better father? These kind of things. And I'm essentially asking myself. I'm asking the Tyr in me, and those answers will come. And I can give that credit to Tyr for giving me the answer, but it's really just another aspect of myself. So what aspect of myself am I venerating? Am I venerating the bad stuff, or am I venerating the good stuff? And trying to move forward and get better at that,
I mean, I can totally relate to that.
Yeah.
Yeah. When I talk to Thor, I talk to him not expecting any answer, and whether I think he's like this red bearded dude like standing behind me, or this just this energy around me, I'm not really expecting an answer, but I know that whatever I talk about, I feel safe. And there's no holds barred. Like, he knows everything, and I've talked about some shit with him, and he gets me through it. And it's not that he's like right there and he gets me through it. It's like I can just feel like strength and resilience, and I can look at something and have some humor on what just happened or something like that. So yeah, I totally feel that.
Yeah, because when you're talking with him, you are essentially just talking to yourself.
Yes.
But it feels like there's somebody else in the room. You don't feel like you're alone talking to yourself.
Yes, there's someone there that is stronger and has been through it, has, beat down the giants and, walked on to the next one and has courage and strength.
Yeah, and I feel like that's one of the things that comes up in our Discord is people are like, I've been on the path for 3 weeks and I still haven't found a patron. Now what am I going to do? How do I find a patron?
You just pick one.
Or just study. You just study. And then when you come across those winters or those hard times, or you come across those immovable objects in your life, then you talk to the patron who can help you through that,
Well, you say you study, right? But I mean, back when I picked mine, it was just like, I didn't study. I didn't study. I was just too busy being a mom to study. And it's like, oh, well, this guy looks cool. I'm just going to talk to this one.
No, yeah.
And it's like, okay, well, he likes to laugh. He's joyous. And there's some stories about him. And he's strong. And he, he has courage. Yeah, he sounds cool to talk to. And like that was literally it.
Yeah.
And now I couldn't think of talking to anyone else.
You don't need to, and that's kind of the thing. It's like sometimes you just get lucky. You just hit on it. You just intuitively know. I'm big on intuition. Like,
Yes.
Some things you just know how to do, and I probably, I did my homework. I had to know who Tyr was, but I never really bloat to Tyr. I don't really make offerings to Tyr or anything. I just talk to him often. Especially during meditation.
You do raise a horn to him in Sambal quite often.
I do, yeah.
Yeah, a couple times a year. Mm-hmm. But now I will say that my patroness, which a lot of people call it a matron.
Matron, yeah.
I've always called it a patroness.
I wonder, if there's a big difference. Like if you're like a word, if you know the etymology of different wordings and stuff. Like, is there a difference? Does it matter if you say a patroness or a matron?
Yeah, it's always been patroness. It will always be a patroness in my world.
Okay.
Because it's my world.
Yeah.
It's my world. Nope.
That guy's such a tool.
Nope.
If you don't know what we're talking about, whatever. That guy's a tool. Anyway.
So now that's totally different with my patroness. Like I've had, Frigga is my patroness for 20 some years, and I'm switching. I'm changing. I'm seeing what's greener on the other side.
You can do that?
You can do that.
What do you mean?
And it's not necessarily as greener, it's just a different shade of green.
You mean you're turning your back on Frigga forever?
No, I'm definitely not turning my back on Frigga. She certainly has my admiration and my gratitude and my loyalty. But I'm at a different point in my life that I don't necessarily need her, her wisdom and her guidance. Like I'm looking somewhere else.
You're kind of at the tail end of your mother phase.
Yes. And now I'm going into my goddess phase. I'm going into my, I'm finding my fierce.
Yeah.
You
take your power back.
Right.
Right on. Yeah.
I can't wait to get all the way deep into my crone stage and just be this old woman just like, get off my lawn.
That's my line. To get off the lawn. That's my thing.
So I don't know, and it wasn't like I thought about switching. It was just all of a sudden it was just there. It was just natural and intuitive to switch. And there's nothing bad or disrespectful to Frigga. I absolutely, love everything that I went through with her. It's just I'm at a different point.
Right. Yeah. And she's the mother. I'm sure. That you had a lot to deal with that. Mm-hmm. So my patroness was always Freya. Mm-hmm. Because she's a warrior goddess, she claims half the slain, and that didn't sound like a bad ending to me. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And
she's hot too.
And at my phase, I want to talk to a hot party girl. I don't want to talk to my mom. Like I'm going to war. Like where's the party?
Right.
So that was kind of like my whole logic when I first, and I have still not looking for anyone else, like I'm good.
Yeah.
So I guess people would call that God spoused, but I don't like that term.
Yeah.
I don't like that term because what it signifies to me is like,
I just got a divorce.
Yeah, exactly. So your time with Frigga is ending and you're starting to lean in a different direction, whatever that looks like for you, Freya or whatever. My time with Tyr has ended. I've been holding on to it, I've been retired for 10 years. I'm not a warrior anymore,
Yeah.
So I'm more leaning in the direction of Uller because I'm a big game hunting guide, and we live in elk country and hunting and putting meat on the table and the snow skis and snowshoes and the snow, and it's all the things I love. So it just seems more natural that I want to be better at those things. And if I want to be better at those things, I want to pick the god who's the best at those things.
Yes.
That I can emulate, right?
Yes.
And I'm not too concerned about defending the country against its enemies anymore.
Not yet.
Yeah, so until it comes to our soil.
Yeah.
But even then, probably better to be a mountain man in the mountains than...
Yes. But it's not like you're turning your back on Tyr and you're not being disrespectful.
Of course not.
It's like if Tyr sent you a message, you would absolutely answer.
Yeah, but
It's not like it would be like, just get back to him when it's time.
yeah, I don't necessarily.
I just put him
believe
unread.
I don't necessarily believe that the God send us messages like that, but I don't think that.
No, but you know what I mean.
Yeah. I don't think they call us. I don't think they claim us. I don't think they do any of that sort of thing. I think they're there. They're doing their own thing. They're minding their own business. They have very little interest in our daily lives or even our ritual practices, truthfully, unless we specifically ask for help for us or for someone else, and then we take the proper steps in order to do that respectfully and correctly. Then they'll lean in and they'll give us help. I don't think they just sit here and hover over us all day.
I don't think so either. But I think as someone who has, had Frigga as a patroness for many, many, many years, I may see a sign and interpret it from her, and then immediately answer or immediately check in. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I get that.
It might not necessarily be from her, but just knowing her for so long and knowing myself with her, I might interpret it, or I might want to interpret it and might be like, oh, I kind of miss Frigga. And then I see this sign and it's like, oh, there you are.
Yeah.
And then it's like, okay, I'm going to check in.
Yeah, I get that. And I do that with Tyr too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't know where I was going with that, but I just...
It's fine.
Yeah.
You don't really have to, but I think it's important to know that there's no requirement to have a patron.
No.
Or a matron. Or a patroness.
Well, I do know, some of our kids have certain ones of our children have found both and have only found one, and some haven't even found any.
Yeah. Well, I think one thing that you can do for yourself before you choose a patron or a matron, we'll just say patron in general, and we'll say that covers the masculine and the feminine.
We always have.
Yeah. We just say patron god or patron goddess. So I think one thing you can do before you find a patron is read multiple translations, because one thing I've found, especially more and more recently, is that the more modern translations that are coming out are getting more and more biased. They're leaning in one way or another, and they're casting shadow, or they're attributing social faux pas in this timeline to the realm of the gods and the things that they've done in their stories, and they're embellishing that part of the faux pas to make that god seem a little bit less desirable than some other god. If any book puts, in my eyes, if it puts Loki and elevates Loki above Thor, there's a problem. Because it's never been that way. Historically, it doesn't feel that way. It doesn't feel intuitive to me. There's an issue to me.
Yeah. Well, I think, unfortunately with social media now, you have your likes and your comments and your Patreon, and you have all this engagement and can do all this other stuff for you in your life. And I think a lot of people are pandering to those likes. They are changing the landscape, and that is a very sad thing to think about.
Yeah, things like Marvel and video games, as fun as they are, and they do bring people here, but I think we get a lot of people here that don't realize that that's all a fiction.
Yeah. And you and I speak on Marvel, right? We speak on Marvel a lot, but we've never actually watched any of them.
I think I've seen the very first Thor one once.
Yeah. I've never actually watched one.
I kind of faintly remember watching him crash through a ceiling. It might have been a commercial or something, or crash into a parking lot or something and do that Marvel stance and leave a big crater.
I think that's
the
Hulk.
No, I think Thor did it. I don't know.
I want to watch the movies because I love watching movies, and I think they're probably great movies, but then it's like they're going to change everything, and I don't want to see that.
Yeah.
So we talk about watching Marvel, but we don't really have any experience on what Marvel does.
Yeah, but we've seen the first season or two of the Vikings before we gave up on that show.
Yeah.
Northman I love. I think probably the Northman, it's actually a comedy.
Oh, that one, yeah.
It's actually a comedy from Norway. I would imagine it's pretty well received in Norway. I would guess that the Northman is probably more true to Viking life than the Vikings.
Yeah.
just because they actually have a sense of humor. They're a little bit corny. They're a little bit raunchy. To me, I would think that just even being like a sitcom is more true to the life than some drama that we try to take seriously, like Game of Thrones or something.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
yeah. And see, Game of Thrones, I can get totally behind because there's not like this whole faith and spirituality
Yeah, you just enjoy
surrounding
the
it.
show.
It's just, yeah.
With dragons and kings and queens.
But sadly, everything else is like, that's not really how it is.
Well, it's always going to be like that when any subject touches on something that you're intimately familiar with.
Yeah.
Like sit down and watch a survival show with me. I don't care if it's alone or dual survival or any of it. By the way, I was cast for one of the people on dual survival, but I turned it down. I was cast for that.
He was cast for that.
So.
Yeah. Which was really cool because your casting your thing was in Jersey, right, with our sister, and you got to go hang out with her.
And the casting call was the survival tasks were in the backyard of somebody's house in Jersey.
And you're like, I'm going to bail right now. I'm going to go see my sister.
Yeah. And I would normally not be allowed even to tell you this because you have to sign a non-disclosure agreement, but I wouldn't sign it. So I didn't sign the NDA. I didn't sign the contract. I didn't sign anything. Anything they put in front of me, I didn't sign. So nothing. So I could say whatever I want. I could say more, but eventually I may end up working with these people. So
yeah,
I'll watch what I say.
We could have this cool Asatru show. That'd be cool.
Yeah, we could have a cool Asatru show.
Just go around and I don't know, do ritual. That'd be cool.
Would it?
I don't know.
I mean, we do that anyway.
How cool would it be to go like at the bottom of Carlsbad Caverns and do ritual?
I'll do a ritual anyway.
Like 648 feet below the surface of the earth.
How far that is?
It's something like that, yeah. We walked it, remember?
Yeah, but I don't know if it was that long.
I think it was like 648 feet.
I know it's very cool down there. Like,
yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, and you smelled coffee.
Yeah.
Like this whole cavern place, and he's like,
there's coffee.
I smelled coffee. It's like, whatever.
There's coffee down here below the earth. There was a coffee stand. So.
We totally went and got coffee.
Yeah. Anyway.
Sorry.
What are we talking about?
I don't know.
So we're talking about patrons and matrons. So
yes.
we know that we've covered it. It's not necessary. It's not a mandatory thing. So take your time. But like I said, read if you're feeling like particularly close to a god or not. If you're feeling particularly repelled by one, I think would probably be more important. Read different versions. Read other translations. The older, the better, really. I found that some of the modern translators are to kind of translate things in a slightly different light in order to be different, in order to not invade other people's copyrights, and to just be something to talk about. And I don't necessarily agree with that tactic just for the sake of earning a group or whatever, or earning recognition by being different. I mean, we all know different is better than better, but I just don't think that some of the stuff's been twisted up pretty bad. So anyway, read as much as you can read about these particular gods and goddesses.
A couple decades and it won't be recognizable.
If we let it keep going, yeah. But that's okay. I mean, it doesn't... The books that are here will always be here. The history will always be here. The sagas of the Icelanders will always be here.
And there'll be those, us in crone stage that will always be here. Like once you hit crone stage.
Yeah. But, I mean, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter where it changes to. Like, it's not going to change my practice.
No, it's not going to change mine either.
But, if the community at whole decides that that practice should look like something else and it kind of goes in that direction, that's fine. But the problem I have is when we start casting stones at people who are going their own way.
Yes.
That's the problem. And some people might think that I do because I'm opinionated, right?
You're very opinionated.
But my opinion doesn't necessarily, I don't think less of people because they do things differently than me.
Yeah.
That's the problem. And although even I've said it a little bit, I've probably said some negative things about Loki. I try not to say negative things about any gods, but I probably said that about Loki tonight. And I guarantee that somebody's going to come out of the woodwork and get banned over it.
Well,
it's going to be important enough that somebody's going to get banned over it.
Yeah.
They're going to get banned from the channel. They're going to get banned from the Discord. They're going to get banned from the TikTok over something that I said because they disagree with my thought process on it. And that's unfortunate. And I think our community should probably be able to do better than that.
Mm-hmm. Well, I've known you almost my whole life. And you're not one to put people down or make them follow your path or your narrative or anything like that. But you are a very, very passionate man.
Mm-hmm.
And you come off as very passionate.
There we go. Woo!
Woo! Caca.
So if you're looking for a patron, it's not necessary. Do your due diligence and find the one that fits not where you're at, and certainly not your past. Never venerate your past. You know, we all came from... There's very few people that I know that's ever had a really good... I don't know anybody that's happy with the way they came up.
Right.
You know, including my own kids. They don't like it either. So to
I
venerate...
Like, what's up with that?
To venerate the past or venerate the bad things that are going on now, I think is counter to the purpose that we have all these great stories of the gods. But we have those stories so we can identify with them and we can venerate them and we can use them as an example as to get to where we want to go. You know, Thor didn't win those trials at Utgard-Loki, but he came out better in the end. And while he thought he lost those trials, you got to read the story now. Thor and Loki go to Utgard-Loki, you know, and battle some giants with some quiz games, essentially, right?
Mm-hmm.
And lose their ass. They lose every event. They lose their ass. And it scares the shit out of the giants because they performed so well under such a deception. So life is a big, giant deception. So venerate where you want to be and strive for that. Don't venerate the loss, you know, or the bad things.
Mm-hmm.
And you'll find the right god or goddess to follow. But if you decide that that's not right for you and you just want to honor whatever god is relevant at the moment, then do that. Nobody can tell you you're wrong for that, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So, and even if you do pick a favorite, that doesn't mean that that's the only god you work with. Like I said, I rarely work with Tyr. I have worked with Tyr,
Yeah.
But it was relevant to Tyr's particular skill set. But I rarely work with Tyr. I work with Heimdall all the time. Not because he's the Kindred patron, but because I'm in a learning phase and he's a teacher.
And see, I'm the same way. It's like I rarely work with Frigga or work with Thor, but I always talk to them.
Mm-hmm.
I talk to them all the time.
Yeah.
And
Counsel from them, right?
Yes. Yeah, that's a good word for it. I get counsel from them.
Which is, you're getting counsel from yourself.
Yes.
It's all stuff you already know.
Yeah, it's like, you know, the good angel and the devil and you know, the Christianity version where they're sitting on your shoulder and, oh, you should do this. No, don't do that.
Yeah.
You know, it's kind of like that, having a conversation with those parts of you.
Yeah, but you pick the god or goddess that doesn't give you the easy answer. Because the easy answer is do what you want. Or the easy answer is the god or goddess that that you feel is confirming your bias or confirming your whatever it is. You know, like whatever it is you decide is the way things are, then the one that you venerate, if you venerate one that confirms that, you're probably only venerating your own ego and not an actual god, you know? Mm-hmm. So.
Yeah, I mean, I would almost say, like, shop around.
Yeah, shop around, play the game, play the field.
You know, you can spend a few weeks talking to this deity or that deity and just see where it lines up in your life and whether you're taking, you know, that advice, your own advice, or anything like that.
Yeah, and I think it's okay for different people to see different gods differently. So,
yes.
So an example for me, you know, I've done a little work with Ir if we're doing a little healing or, you know, very little. Mm-hmm. You know, it's just, she's not a prominent, you know, focal point of my practice, right?
Right.
But I would imagine that someone who's recently had a near-death experience would probably find themselves, or somebody who's maybe worked in the healthcare industry would find themselves extremely close to Ir, and would have a completely different take on her and, you know, and her role in the mythology or her worth and duty to the folk. You know, they would have a different take than me.
Yeah, I mean, I do with Frigga, and Frigga's the mother. She's the all-mother.
Yeah, I'm not a mother. I've never been a mother. I'll never be a mother. So I can't honor Frigg the same way that you can because I can't understand her world.
Yes.
Right? Mm-hmm. But I can honor Tyr better than you.
Yes.
Because I understand his world.
And I don't understand that world.
The loneliness on the, the ragged edge of the crumbling American empire.
Yes.
Like, that's a whole different set of rules, right?
Yeah.
So what world are you living in? Where do you want to be? And which deity or deities will be the ones that if you were to emulate their personality, which one would get you there the best? And it ain't always going to be fun. And, in a lot of cases, it's going to require you to make decisions that that you may not want to admit. You may not want to admit that you have problems in these areas and that you need work or you need help or you need to go, seek professional help on some of these things. All that stuff, I think I think people know. You just have to figure out which god or goddess is going to be your strength to get through that and use them for that.
But you don't have to have a patron deity, but there is a really good chance that if you do, your life will be better than what it was.
Yeah, I don't know if I would go with a bold statement like that. Like, certainly your life is better because of it.
Yes.
And certainly my life.
Well,
is
I guess it
because
really
of
depends on who your deity is. But okay, so maybe that was bad terminology, but it's going to be different. There's going to be a cosmic shift.
I think I can agree with that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's definitely going to be different, but it's also not required. Like, everybody's on their own path. That's the point.
At the end of the day, you're not going to be alone. If you pick someone, you're not going to be alone.
Yeah.
If you don't pick anyone, then you're kind of...
Yeah. And a good way to look at that, too, is like, if you ever study about, like, personal growth and personal development, you'll find that a lot of people, especially people like Robert Kiyosaki, Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
Okay.
And then, who's that other guy who does all the financial advice? David Ramsey, right?
Dave Ramsey, yes.
So people like that, if you get advice to them, one of the key pieces of advice they're going to give you is, if you want to be a millionaire, hang out with millionaires. Those are the guys.
Yes, yeah.
Those are the guys who can mentor you, and you don't have to be a millionaire to hang out with millionaires. You can just hang out with millionaires and learn their tactics, their techniques, become their buddy. Maybe you get a hand up here and there, right?
Right.
If
But
you
your
wanna learn-
mindset is
Right.
there with the millionaires.
But if you want to learn to be a crook and a meth head, go hang out with crooks and meth heads, because they'll teach you how to fall to their level. So the idea is, what do you want to venerate? Where do you want to be? Do you want to be in some shitty place where you just crawled out of? Do you want to venerate that and love that and stay there? Or do you want to put your focus and your intent on a higher place and go there? So that's how you would pick your deity. So I know that we kind of beat around the bush without being committed to anything, but the idea is just that you don't have to. You can explore the topic. There's a whole lot of like nuanced things to explore when you talk about picking a deity to be your personal patron, and it's not necessary. It's not required. But if you have a growth goal, then it's always nice to pick an ally to get you to that goal, right?
Oh, that's a great way to say it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
You're good at that.
cool. I suppose this is going to be like a TikTok short or.
Could be.
All right, so with that, I hope you got the answers that you came here for. If not, you might swing back in next week and see what we're talking about.
And check out our Discord and come in.
Check out
Ask
our
some
Discord.
questions.
Come in and ask questions. What else?
Oh, hell, I don't know. What? No, you're looking at me like I should know something.
No,
I'm just hanging on here by the skin of my teeth.
I'm just admiring it. Okay, so that's it. So we're going to wrap this one up. I hope we get to see you next week. It's going to be a lot of fun. I know what we're going to talk about, but you don't. So maybe if you're on our Discord, we'll give a teaser. Maybe not.
That'd be nice.
That'd be cool. We could probably do that. If we get it shot ahead of time. Sometimes we're kind of slow.
Yeah.
We work, man. We got jobs too. All right. Okay, wrap it up.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks for hanging out with us. This has been the Northwoods Kindred podcast, and we thank you for coming around. Don't forget, to subscribe wherever you're listening at. If you're listening on any of the podcast platforms, or you're listening to us on YouTube or whatever, got to hit that subscribe button. You got to get those notification things chimed in so that you get notified when we have new stories out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and wherever you're watching this or listening to this at, there's probably some comments or some modifying information below. It's going to have all kinds of cool links, right?
Yes,
it's
we'll
gonna take
have
you to
all
our
kinds of
website,
links. Yep.
cool downloads.
Yep.
It's going to take you to Garvord's music, and you can check out our Garvord, who's made the music that may or may not be playing right now.
It's going to be playing right now.
Yeah,
It's
so
going to be playing.
That's from our good friend Garvord. And then,
Yeah.
yeah, that's it. So enjoy your journey, and we'll catch you on the flip side.
Go, Vicky.
Þórr.